Hello friends, welcome back. In continuity with the previous lectures of maternal adaptations in pregnancy, the anatomical and physiological changes I have covered were that of genital organs and secondary sexual organs. Now systemic changes I will be covering in this lecture. Hematological changes. Systemic changes, number 1, hematological changes. Hematological. I have already told that pregnancy is a state of hypervolemia. Hypervolemia means the blood volume is increased. Overall blood volume is increased by increased by 40 to 50%. This is a state of hypervolemia. Overall blood volume is increased by around 40 to 50%, and this blood volume is because of increase in plasma volume and increase in RBC volume. So plasma volume increases by approximate 50%, and this is around 20 to 30%. Even though the RBC volume is increased, but because of the disproportionate rise of RBC as compared to the plasma, there occurs apparent hemodilution, leading to fall in normal hemoglobin by around 2 gram%. Although more RBCs are formed, but the rise in RBC volume is not in proportion to the rise in plasma volume, which is around 50%. So although this blood volume is 40 to 50% increased, this is a state of apparent hemodilution, and the hemoglobin falls in mid pregnancy, by 2 gram%. So up to 10 gram hemoglobin, up to 10 gram% of hemoglobin is also normal, and this hypervolemia, apparent hemodilution, this is important in a gravid state. Why? This apparent hemodilution, it causes fall in osmolarity of blood. Osmolarity of blood is low because of this hemodilution. That means the viscosity of blood is reduced. And what is the importance of this reduced viscosity? Number 1, it helps in this more amount of blood which is increased by around 40 to 50% is important because of the increased demand. Increased amount of blood is needed for uteroplacental circulation for developing fetus, and it also protects the woman against hazards of blood loss after delivery. Okay. So these are the hematological changes. There is apparent hemodilution, fall in hemoglobin of around 2 gram% in mid pregnancy. Why this is important? A woman is coming to you with hemoglobin of 10.5 and you say, oh, you are anemic. No, she is not anemic. This is her normal hemoglobin. So assure her that you are not anemic, and this is good for your baby. Now the second thing after hematological changes is increase in the leukocytes. Especially during term, in labor and postpartum, they are increased by up to 20,000. The number increases by up to 20,000. So do not confuse them in the postpartum period for any sign of infection. Now proteins. Overall in a gravid state, total protein circulating in the blood is increased by up to 230 gram total. But because the volume is also increased, the blood volume is increased, the rise of this 230 gram protein, total protein, is not reflected in biochemical test because of that apparent hemodilution. The increase in plasma volume is more than the increase in total protein. So a normal 7 gram limit of total protein in plasma is now 6 gram %. 6 gram is the normal limit. So a woman coming with 6 gram, you will not say that your protein are low. And another thing, the apparent volume of albumin is low. Albumin component apparent is decreased and globulin are slightly increased. So the albumin globulin ratio in pregnancy of 1.1 is normal. Albumin globulin ratio in pregnancy of 1.1 is normal. Total albumins are increased, but apparent because of increase in plasma volume also, there is apparent fall in albumin also. So albumin to globulin ratio is 1:1 in normal pregnancy. Now what about the blood coagulation factors? Blood coagulation factors. This is important. Pregnancy is not only a state of hypervolemia, but it is also a state of hypercoagulation. Hypercoagulation. This is a preparation of body natural cover so that after delivery the coagulation is achieved very quickly to avoid extra blood loss. So blood coagulation factors, they are increased, fibrinogen level are increased, and those blood coagulation factors that are not increased are factor 11 and factor 13. So these are not increased, otherwise all other coagulation factors, they are increased. Fibrinogen is also increased. This is a hypercoagulable state. This is the MCQ question. Which of the following blood factors are not increased in pregnancy? Factor 11 and factor 13. Now talking about ESR. We have already seen that there is hemodilution. Also the albumins are low, total protein is low, albumins are low, globulins are little increased, and this fibrinogen levels are also increased. So ESR shows 4-fold rise in pregnancy, up to 4-fold rise. So ESR has got very little value in pregnancy. If a woman comes to you with a ESR of 30 or 35 or 40, she may come reading on Google that, oh doctor, I may be having tuberculosis, raised ESR. So you have to reassure that ESR is of little importance in pregnancy and it is bound to increase because of the changes that are taking place in your body. So ESR shows up to 4-fold increase. Now coming to gestational thrombocytopenia, there is a progressive fall in the platelet number during pregnancy till term, progressive fall in many women. So upper limit of normal is 1 lakh. In reports it is said 1.5 onwards, but in pregnancy it is 1 lakh, because there is idiopathic thrombocytopenia occurring during pregnancy. So this is woman coming with 1.1 or 1.2, she may again be panic on CBC, or doctor, my platelets are 1.2 lakh only, the normal is 1.5. Why they are decreasing? So you assure her that the normal limit in a pregnant woman for platelets is 1 lakh and not 1.5 lakh. Now fibrinolytic activity is depressed. Fibrinolytic activity is also depressed. Once fibrin deposition occurs, it will not be allowed to degrade. So this is also helpful for achieving hemostasis post delivery, and it remains depressed till 15 minutes post delivery. After that it becomes normal. So that is important for achieving hemostasis immediately after delivery. Now why this osmotic pressure is low and there is hypervolemia? Why? What is the cause behind this hypervolemia? It is all because of the activation of the renin angiotensin system, renin-angiotensin system. Why? Also the body becomes refractory to these hormones. Now there is renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, it is activated. But under the effect of progesterone and various other hormones in the body during pregnancy, this it becomes refractory to this aldosterone. So it, in spite of the activation of this, it is not functional properly to that level, and the threshold for thirst and release of arginine vasopressin is reset during pregnancy. So osmolarity is reduced and threshold for thirst and AVP and arginine vasopressin is reset in pregnancy because of this hypervolemia and reduced osmolarity. Now coming to heart and circulation. What are the anatomical changes that are occurring in the heart, in the CVS? Anatomically, because of the shift of the diaphragm, the apex is shifted laterally up to the fourth intercostal space, up to 2.5 centimeter lateral to the mid-clavicular line. This is the anatomical change. Also, because of the increased flow through the mammary vessels, you may hear mammary murmur in the this tricuspid area lateral to the sternum in second and third intercostal space. Don't confuse them with other murmur. It is continuous murmur. The important part is it is continuous murmur. And the heart sounds, the first heart sound is loud and split, and you may also hear third heart sound. There may be tachycardia, and on ECG you can get the shift, left lateral shift. Also on if you have routinely X-rays are not taken in a gravid woman, but by chance if you have taken X-ray for some other reason with the abdominal shield, then you will notice that the left border on X-ray of the heart is straightened. Left border is straightened, and on echocardiography you will get the end diastolic perimeter is diameter of ventricle is increased and diastolic diameter is increased. So all these findings you should be aware of, so that you are not confused for these anatomical changes that are occurring in the heart in a woman. Now what happens to the cardiac output? Blood volume has increased. Blood volume has increased. Pregnancy is a state of hypervolemia. Now what will happen to cardiac output? I have also told that pulse rate, heart rate or pulse rate is also increased. Cardiac output is also increased. This is increased to meet the demands of the uterus and various other organs of the body. Cardiac output is increased. Stroke volume. Stroke volume is also increased. This is increased because of the increased diameter and diastolic diameter. More amount of blood is available to pump, and also there is some hypertrophy in the left ventricle. Also there is some hypertrophy seen in the left ventricle. Stroke volume is increased, cardiac output is increased, but blood pressure is not increased. Systemic vascular resistance. Systemic vascular resistance is decreased. Also pulmonary vascular resistance is also decreased. In spite of this hypervolemic state, there is underfilling of the blood vessels. In spite of the hypervolemic state, there is underfilling of blood vessels because of the peripheral vasodilation. This peripheral vasodilation is occurring under the effect of renin, relaxin, under the effect of progesterone, under the effect of refractoriness to aldosterone and atrial natriuretic peptide ANP. This peripheral vasodilatation is occurring under the influence of relaxin, progesterone, refractoriness to aldosterone and also to atrial natriuretic peptide. Pregnancy is a state of hypervolemia with decreased filling of blood vessels. Okay, so it means blood pressure आपका कम आएगा. There is decreased filling of blood vessels. This is a very important part. Despite hypervolemia, there is decreased filling of blood vessel. एक तरीके से shock, hypovolemic features आते हैं despite hypervolemia. Despite hypervolemia, there are hypovolemic features because of the profound peripheral dilatation that is occurring in the pregnancy, and it causes decrease in the filling of blood vessels, and this decreased filling of blood vessels is again causing activation of renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system and arginine vasopressin release, and this will cause water retention again. It is really very complicated, but if you try to understand, it is simple also. There is hypervolemia, still there is underfilling, and when there is underfilling, there gives a alarm that ओहो बॉडी में ब्लड की कमी हो रही है. हालांकि ब्लड की वॉल्यूम ज़्यादा है, पर ब्लड वेसल्स में ब्लड कम है क्योंकि मैक्सिमम ऑफ ब्लड इज ऑक्यूपाइड इन द वेनस सिस्टम. Maximum of blood is occupied in venous system. Up to 85% of the blood is in venous system in pregnancy. And there is vasodilatation. So क्या होता है कि वाटर की कमी महसूस होती है जबकि वाटर ज़्यादा होता है. ब्लड ज़्यादा है पर फिर भी लगता है बॉडी को बिकॉज ऑफ वासोडाइलेटेशन क्या हो रहा है कि पानी की कमी है. उस पानी की कमी की वजह से ये दो RAA रेनिन एंजियोटेंसिन एल्डोस्टेरॉन एक्टिवेट हो जाते हैं और आर्जिनिन वासोप्रेसिन ये दोनों एक्टिवेट हो जाते हैं और फिर क्या होगा इनकी वजह से देयर ऑकर्स वाटर रिटेंशन. सो इन दिस वे वाटर रिटेंशन, पेरिफेरल वासोडाइलेटेशन, दिस इज कंटिन्यूसली गोइंग ऑन. बट इफ देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम इन दिस एंड ऑल्सो देयर इज रिफ्रैक्टोरीनेस, ये बढ़ जाता है बट ये काम कम करता है. क्यों? क्योंकि इसके बॉडी एल्डोस्टेरॉन के लिए रिफ्रैक्टरी हो जाती है. ओके, एंड इफ दिस इज नॉट टेकिंग प्लेस ड्यूरिंग लेबर देयर में ऑकर वाटर रिटेंशन अप टू द लेवल टू कॉज सीरियस साइड इफेक्ट्स. समटाइम्स स्पेशली इन केसेस ऑफ हार्ट डिसीज एंड in cases of preeclampsia. Now cardiac output I have told you why this is important. This normal heart जो होता है it is able to cope up with all these changes that are going on, normal heart. But if the heart is diseased by any prior pathology then it becomes difficult. Cardiac output जो आपका term पे highest था it increases by up to 80% in second stage of labor, 50% in first stage and 80% in second stage. That cardiac output जो already increase है वो और 80% में बढ़ जाता है. Normal heart के लिए this can be dealt with, but if the heart is diseased by prior pathology it becomes difficult. So pulmonary edema may occur. Pulmonary edema may occur in immediate postpartum after birth of the baby, especially in cases of heart disease. Cases of heart disease. So it is important to give injection Lasix immediately after delivery. It is important to give injection Lasix to achieve diuresis, to get rid of that excess water present in the body, to decrease the load on the already diseased heart in cases of heart disease. Otherwise also I have said that there is fall in the systemic vascular resistance and also fall in the pulmonary vascular resistance. Pulmonary vascular resistance is also decreased in pregnancy. It leads to increased blood flow and also increased chances of pulmonary edema. Pulmonary edema. So be careful. In cases of water retention like in preeclampsia and heart disease, pulmonary edema will develop very quickly. Also in anemia, chronic anemia cases. So you have to be very careful while delivering such patients. Now coming to blood pressure, I have told because of the decreased systemic vascular resistance, blood pressure is lowered. Blood pressure बढ़ता नहीं है, especially in early pregnancy blood pressure is low. After mid pregnancy it comes to the normal prior value. Now venous pressure. Venous pressure of upper extremities are unaltered. In lower extremities it is increased, especially in advanced pregnancy, and that too in standing position. That too in standing position. It rises very much up to 80 to 100 centimeter of water. From approximately 5 to 8 centimeter which is normal, it is increased up to 80 to 100 centimeter in standing position because of the pressure of the gravid uterus, and also up to 20 centimeter of water on lying down position because of the pressure of the gravid uterus on the inferior vena cava and venous return. So most of the blood, that is body has increased, they remain in the venous system in pregnancy. And when when a woman wants to lie down in pregnancy, we try to ask them to lie down on left lateral position, because when they lie supine, the gravid uterus, it presses the inferior vena cava, venous return is decreased. So when they lie on left lateral position, the pressure is released from the vena cava, inferior vena cava, and it facilitates the venous return, and so allow the woman to take rest in a left lateral position. If not possible, then right, and even if it is not possible, then you may tilt the pelvis. You may tilt the pelvis so that the pressure is lifted. And physiological edema of pregnancy we discussed in the previous chapter, previous lecture. I have told that it is relieved on rest. This is the reason behind it, that why the physiological edema of pregnancy, which is occurring because of the pressure of the gravid uterus on the common iliac veins on the inferior vena cava, the return is reduced and it causes the venous pressure to raise. It is relieved on rest. When the edema is relieved on rest, it is mostly physiological, nothing to worry about it. Now central hemodynamics, they usually do not change despite the changes that are occurring, because there is no significant, though the fall, because of the significant fall in the systemic venous resistance, though the cardiac output is increased, but the CVP and other mean arterial pressure, they do not show any changes. Now what is supine hypotension syndrome? In usually where you are not getting proper venous return from the lower extremities because of the pressure of the gravid uterus on the inferior vena cava, right? In supine position this is occurring. Usually in around 80% of the women, the collaterals develop. Collaterals develop azygous vein and other veins they develop, and the return is coming from there. So the blood is coming back to the systemic circulation. In some cases, around 20% of the cases, these collaterals, they do not, हमें कहीं bypass पे जाना है, this is the bypass, it is not working, हम क्या करते हैं, गाँव में से छोटी छोटी सड़कों से होके निकल के चले जाते हैं. सो द बाईपास हमारा ब्लॉक हो जाता है सुपाइन पोजीशन में, तो हमारा ब्लड जो है कोलेटरल से चला जाता है. लेकिन इन अराउंड 20% ऑफ द केसेस दीज कोलेटरल्स डू नॉट डेवलप. 20% of the cases these collaterals do not develop. In this condition, when the woman is in supine position, her BP falls drastically, and when she is tilted to lateral position, the venous return is is allowed to come into the circulation, which increases the amount of blood in circulation and relieves the hypotension. So this is supine hypotension syndrome or postural hypotension. Now what is regional distribution of blood flow? We have seen that pregnancy is a hypervolemic state. So this extra amount of blood that has been accumulated, it goes, the uterine blood flow. Uterine blood flow is up to 750 ml per minute. This is too high, 750 ml per minute. Now you can understand that if in a postpartum hemorrhage 1-2 मिनट में भी कितना ब्लड लॉस हो सकता है ना, 2 मिनट में भी आपका 1500 ml ब्लड लॉस हो सकता है. सो इट इज़ रियली वेरी डेंजरस to have postpartum hemorrhage. You should be very careful. So uterine blood flow is increased. Also the blood flow to the glomerulus, kidney का size भी बढ़ जाता है by approximately 1 centimeter because of the increased flow. Cardiac output बढ़ा हुआ है, systemic vascular resistance कम है, पर फिर भी आपका जो अमाउंट, बिकॉज ऑफ वाजोडाइलेटेशन एंड इंक्रीज्ड कार्डियक आउटपुट, ब्लड फ्लोइंग टू द किडनीज आर इंक्रीज्ड, एंड इट ऑल्सो कॉजेज एनलार्जमेंट ऑफ किडनी बाय 1 सेंटीमीटर, अप्रॉक्सीमेटली 1 सेंटीमीटर आपको अल्ट्रासाउंड में किडनी बड़ी नज़र आएंगी, तो उसमें डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है कि ये किडनी बड़ी कैसे हो गई है. दे आर इट इज़ अ नॉर्मल फाइंडिंग इन प्रेगनेंसी. द यूरेटर्स. Now what are the different changes occurring in kidneys and this system? There is pressure because of the influence of progesterone. The ureters जो होते हैं, ureters are peristalsis कम हो जाती है and इनमें because of peristalsis stasis of urine occurs, जिससे इनके mild hydronephrosis is seen in the pelvic ileal system, mild hydronephrosis and fullness of renal pelvis and upper ureters, fullness of upper ureters. So hydronephrosis especially on the right side is more prominent and it is a normal clinical finding. But because of the stasis of this urine, a woman who is pregnant is more prone for developing urinary tract infection and pyelonephritis because of this urinary stasis. Increased GFR in kidneys because of the increased blood flow, more amount of blood is coming to the kidneys, the glomerular filtration rate is increased. And the blood supply to afferent and efferent, both the arterioles, they are increased. GFR is increased. When GFR is increased, renal clearance of urea and creatinine is increased. But there is positive nitrogen balance during pregnancy. More of the protein is utilized for development. Less protein is converted to urea. So the level of urea in blood during pregnancy normal is around 15 to 20 only and not 45 as compared to non-pregnant state. Also serum creatinine is around 0.8 and not 1.4 or 1.5 as in non-gravid state. Also there is retention of sodium. There is retention of sodium and retention of potassium. But because of the decreased osmolarity, increased plasma volume, the amount of potassium that is retained, although there is total amount of potassium is increased in the body, but the value of potassium is little lower as compared to the non-pregnant state because of apparent hemodilution of excess plasma volume. Now other changes, protein metabolism, I have told that there is a positive protein balance, less of the protein and glucose is used for conversion for glucose metabolism. In fact, there is lipolysis taking place for the genesis of new glucose for fuel requirement. Lipolysis is taking place. All the other insulin, there is a insulin resistance, state of insulin resistance during pregnancy because of the hormones, other hormones that are acting opposite to insulin. So there is a state of insulin resistance. So women where there is already metabolic uncontrolled blood sugar, or there is a already they were having insulin resistance in their pre-pregnant state, it is profound and they are prone for developing gestational diabetes during pregnancy. And because of this insulin resistance and because of the lipolysis, what happens is there is fasting hypoglycemia. Always remember, it is a MCQ question. Fasting hypoglycemia, fasting blood sugar levels are lower as compared to non-gravid state, and after meal immediate आपका खाना खाने के बाद का जो है there is hyperglycemia. And because of these things, what happens, there occurs lipolysis. मदर की बॉडी प्रोटीन का इस्तेमाल नहीं करती है ग्लूकोज में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए, बट इट यूजेस lipolysis to generate the fuel. There is fasting hypoglycemia and postprandial hyperglycemia, immediate postprandial hyperglycemia. All these changes are necessary to provide glucose to the adequate glucose to the fetus. Glucose is adequately transferred towards the fetal side. So these changes are important. But in cases where it was previously not under control or not functioning properly, so those women, they are more prone of developing gestational diabetes. Now coming to fat metabolism, fat is deposited around 3 to 4 kg. 3 to 4 kg of fat is deposited in the breast, hips, thighs and abdomen, anterior abdominal wall. This fat is utilized during lactation for meeting the caloric requirements. Now coming to lipid metabolism. During pregnancy lipid profile आप अगर कराएंगे तो उसका ट्राइग्लिसराइड लेवल भी हाई होगा, देयर विल बी हाई ट्राइग्लिसराइड्स, कोलेस्ट्रॉल लेवल भी हाई होगा, LDL भी हाई होगा, HDL भी हाई होगा. और दिस LDL तो यूज होता है बाय प्लेसेंटा फॉर द फॉर्मेशन ऑफ स्टेरॉइड हार्मोन्स. सो LDL की वहाँ यूटिलाइजेशन होती है. नाउ ऑल दीज अदर लिपिड प्रोफाइल पैरामीटर्स, she may come, oh doctor, all my cholesterol is so high, I am at risk of coronary artery disease, or please start some medicine to reduce these. So you have to assure her that this is a normal finding, and more importantly, these increased levels of lipids during pregnancy are not atherogenic. They are not atherogenic, they will not be deposited in your veins, in your arteries, and they will not be making the plaques, and they are not of any danger to your health. Now coming to total iron requirement, it is increased. We will discuss its detail in the chapter covering the anemia. But you should understand that total iron is increased, and that this requirement is more so required in the later half of the pregnancy, especially in the last 3 months. In cases of preterm delivery, so the reserve of iron is less with the baby, and those babies are more prone of developing anemia in their infancy. So during the later 3 months of pregnancy, last 3 months of pregnancy, maximum iron deposition in the fetus occurs. Even if mother is anemic, baby will not be anemic at birth, because there is active transport of iron from maternal side to fetal side for the development of fetus. So even if the mother is having 4 gram hemoglobin while delivery, but her child will be having normal hemoglobin concentration at birth. Maybe reserves are not that proper, so ultimately in infancy the child will develop anemia, but at birth there will be no anemia in the child. Daily iron requirement is increased by around 6 to 7 milligram, and all the balance, all the mechanism I will discuss in lecture related with anemia. So what other systemic